Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Dad's Turn to Talk. I am going to be your moderator, Josh, tonight, and just want to start off our show. You know, yes, it is a Happy New Year, but unfortunately, it really isn't. Our prayers are definitely with the people in New Orleans. Everyone saw what happened just last week, just so sad. And as you all know, I live in LA, and LA, specifically the Pacific Palisades, has been engulfed with flames. We even thought this morning, my family, I didn't even know if I'd be on tonight. We didn't know if we'd be getting evacuated, but thank God, with the multiple fires that have gone on, one of them that we thought was close to us was contained. Everything else is not. So we're always on the lookout. And, our thoughts and prayers are with everybody here in California. And really, tonight on Dad's Turn to Talk, we want to maybe take the attention away from that, even for a couple of hours, and just let everyone, enjoy what we have to say. We want to thank our audience. One of our videos on the Superman trailer hit 5,000 views this week, which was absolutely amazing. We can thank Bob for coming up with the idea for that trailer, and we can thank Derek for turning on crypto and hating on Lois Lane.
You're welcome for all the views, by the way.
You're very welcome. Yeah, thank you, Derek. Anyway, let's start out with the man who's a real big dog lover and just got back from vacation. Derek-o, Happy New Year, my friend. How are you?
Happy New Year to you as well, sir. Yes, even you, Josh. Happy New Year.
Oh, thank you.
I echo everything that you said. Gosh, that was talking about a crazy start to a new year with New Orleans and LA now. So, as Jess mentioned, all the best out there. It sounds, a little bit redundant to always have to keep saying that, but that's the best I got, and I hope that everybody stays safe and you're able to get through things accordingly. And we're thinking about you here.
Thank you.
Be good, New Orleans. Be good, LA. And you be safe, Josh. Don't be messing around.
We are not messing around. We are not messing around. We are ready to go if we need to.
San Diego's gorgeous this time of year.
I know. We need to get our bags packed just in case, and we will take off if we need to.
Legoland's supposed to be awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, not a bad idea. Anyway, my other buddy, Bob, how's it going? Happy New Year to you.
Well, Happy New Year. And same thing, my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody who in New Orleans for everything that happened there, as well as there in LA. Again, like Derek said, everybody stay safe. It's good to be here tonight. Derek, it is great to have you back here tonight. And I really want to thank you for sending those videos for us last week. Really appreciated seeing them.
And yes, that was me. That was me in the second shot.
I think you played that 45 times during the show.
Those were my best friends in the first clip, and then that was me jumping into the wave.
Yeah, so it's good having you back, and thank you for sharing that with us last week. So
the Elvis with the suntan lotion was pretty fantastic as well.
You want some pictures, Derek-o? You should send some pictures.
Yeah, I'll get my act together.
This is not you with the suntan lotion. So.
Yeah, you don't want to see those pictures. Those are private.
Derek seems like the type of guy who will put the sunscreen right on his nose and keep it there all day. Am I right?
I actually use. Well, I'm a big fan of the spray now.
Oh well, yeah.
So, I don't like. No, the spray is so much easier, and the only time it's actually a kicker is when I shave my head, and it stings real good.
Oh, I bet. Oh,
but it's much more manageable, and I got a nice, good old SPF 50 that I slap on, and luckily that did me well this trip. No burning.
Nice.
Yeah,
there we go.
Cool. Anyway, before we start with our first topic, I want to let everybody know to hit that subscribe button and also that like button. We do timestamp the shows, so if there's a specific subject that you want to get to, for example, tonight we're talking some football, go right to that area. We'll be talking about Creature Commandos, another thing that people are interested in. So please go ahead and do that. And with that said, Mr. Bobo, let's get started.
All right.
That's
All
why he
right.
gets paid the big bucks, my friends.
Yes, that was a really cool opening. As you guys know, we have been covering the college football playoff on Dad's Turn to Talk. And tomorrow, which will be Thursday and Friday, we have our semifinals, our top four. Let's see, we got Notre Dame, no comment.
Told you, Josh. I told you.
You did. You did say that they are a very good team. You have Ohio State, who crushed Oregon.
I told you, Josh. I told you.
No, you didn't. You
I
did
told you about Ohio State.
Anyway, Penn State.
I told you. No, I'm just
who took out Boise State, and Texas, who should not have beaten Arizona State. Yes, that was a targeting call.
Yes, they should have, and they did.
I agree with you, Josh. That was a targeting call. However, I do think Texas earned that win, but whatever.
Well, Bob, are the rumors true? Is Arizona State really trying to sue the playoff committee, or is that a joke?
I don't know, but I'll say this. I really thought that was targeting just by everything that they've called all year long. It looked like targeting to me, but that's besides the point. There's no guarantee they would have driven it down and won the game anyway. So
I don't know. Anyway, so let's go ahead and I guess, guys, begin with our first matchup, which is tomorrow. And is that Penn State versus Notre Dame?
Yep.
Am I right on
that? I think that's the first one. Let me double check.
That's the first one. Yep. Okay. And then Friday's Ohio State and Texas.
Got it. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this matchup. Thought it was kind of funny today. They had the press conference, and James Franklin is talking with Freeman, with Notre Dame's coach, and he's like, "You guys really should join a conference." Said straight up. He's like, "With all due respect, you guys should be in a conference. Conference champions are important."
It's not according to ESPN.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, I know. No kidding.
Well, what difference did it make? All the one seeds are out anyway.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So.
All right, Bob. Let's start with you, Mr. Football. What do you think about this matchup, and what do you like about it, and who do you think is going to win?
Well, first off, Josh, I want to talk about the greatness that is Notre Dame. And
symbol of excellence.
Okay. See, the joke there is I actually can't stand Notre Dame, but I've been telling Josh all year long, and Josh knows this about me. I am extremely fair. Whether I like a team or not, I will be fair with my observations, and I have been consistent about what I thought of Notre Dame this year. I think they're a pretty good football team. They got a solid defense. I like Riley Leonard. I think he's a fantastic player, great dual threat quarterback. And then you look at Penn State. You got a solid defense there. A good running back tandem with Singleton and Katron Allen, and then Drew what's his name, Drew Aller, quarterback. He's really progressed throughout the year. If you look at him early in the season as opposed to right now, and Warren, that tight end, good Lord, he can play. And then they got a few good wide receivers, but Warren's really their number one guy when it comes to the passing game. Just looking at this matchup. I've been picking Notre Dame through this playoffs, and I just have a feeling they're going to pull out an upset here. Because who's favored in this one? Is it Penn State?
Notre Dame by 1.5.
Really? Notre Dame's got okay. So I'm going to take Notre Dame in this one. If I had to pick a score, I'm thinking this is going to be a lower scoring game. I'm thinking something like 21-20 or something like that. I don't see this being a high scoring game. Maybe like 21-18 or something. This is going to be a very low scoring game, but I am taking Notre Dame to win this thing.
Okay. Derico, what about you? Who do you like? Why? Give us your opinion.
This, I think, is actually going to be the harder of the two to call. This is going to be tight. I have to say, I feel I'm with Bob on this one. I do smell an upset. And don't get it twisted. I've been very impressed by Penn State. They have gotten comprehensively better every single playoff game they've had.
Absolutely.
They've found better ways to play football. Their offense is better. Their defense is better. It's a really, really well-rounded team. I'm a big fan of Drew Aller. Just watching him get better is great. And Bob, you're not kidding about the running back component. That's probably the most impressive part about Notre Dame. I mean, it's the one I like watching the most. And then that defense has been stellar. But I'm with you. I smell upset here. And I think you're right about the low scoring as well. And I actually think it's going to be lower than that. I think it's like 14-10.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's like that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
I think that's entirely possible, especially with the way Penn State is handling their defense. But Notre Dame's, and they got a ton of weaponry as well. This is going to be a good game. But, yeah, don't look for high scoring in this. This is going to be some smash mouth football.
I think so.
Yeah. Game of inches. Game of inches, this one.
Bob, I can't remember Penn State's big-time linebacker's name. What's his name?
Oh, shoot. I can't remember.
I didn't look it up, and I didn't have enough time. Anyway, big surprise. I'm going for Penn State. I want to see him win. I agree with both of you. I think it's a defensive struggle. I think Penn State's defense wins the game for them. I think their defense is better than Notre Dame's defense.
Josh, you're wrong, and I'm going to tell you that you're wrong. You want to know why? No, hold on. You want to know why you're wrong?
Why?
What is the one thing you've said about Penn State for the last 5 or 6 years?
They can't win the big game.
And why is that?
They get very conservative in the fourth quarter.
You have said that Franklin can't win the big game, and that's going to come into play.
He's
not going to get by Notre Dame and the greatness that is Notre Dame. I'm already pulling out my pom-poms, and I'm going to be sitting there on the couch going, Rudy.
Such an idiot.
I don't know what Bob's heritage is, but he's going to be Irish on that day.
Oh my God, Bob hates that.
I'm going to pull out some Irish coffee and
do a leprechaun dance.
But I have a bowl of Lucky Charms in front of me.
They're magically delicious.
Some of that green Guinness beer that they serve on St. Patty.
Well, I mean, Derek has picked the winner for every, one. Pick the favorite. So I'm not surprised. Well, come on, Bob. He's picked the favorite. He hasn't picked one upset.
I just did.
That's not it. They're favored by 1.5.
That's still an upset, Josh. They're 7. Shut up. They're lower ranked than Penn State. Would you just eat my polar bear's ding dong? How about that?
Shut up. I give up with you. Bob, do I give up with you? Oh my God. And Bob's all of a sudden a Notre Dame fan. Guy hates Notre Dame for 35 years. He's hated Notre Dame.
He never knew when to quit. Oh.
Yeah, I'm the teacher there, Bob, and you're the one.
It's been too long since I've seen the clips.
Oh yeah, we'll have a laugh tonight.
No, Josh. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if Penn State won it because I do think I'm like Derek. I have been impressed with them, and James Franklin has got that team ready to play. They have really come alive in this playoffs. And what I've liked about it is that we're seeing the playoffs the way it should be, because before the playoffs started, you saw all the talking heads on ESPN complaining about the seeding and then complaining about the way the games are going at and saying, well, we need to make sure that we have the best teams in there. No, this is sports. You have teams that for whatever reason don't show up in big games. And then you have others like Arizona State, who they thought was going to get blown out, show up and play a great game. Sure. And when it came down to it, we got the 4 best teams. We got them. They played it on the field. We know they're the 4 best teams because they played the games.
Let me ask you both this. I've never seen a sport like this where they complained about a blowout. Did you see in the NFL when Dan Marino's last game, the most horrible Dolphins game ever, when they lost 62-7 to the Jaguars, did anybody complain and say, oh, that game should not have counted? No. So it's just so stupid how ESPN, and now they're denying it, and now they've gotten so quiet.
That's because the playoff worked out. They were sitting there trying to play it out like it wasn't working out, and they're going to have to retweak it for next year. And you watch, they are going to retweak it anyway. But I think it worked out the way that it did, the way it was supposed to.
The 4 best teams are left.
And here's the thing: they argue that that bye week didn't help anybody, and and all of them lost. And you have these teams that were sitting at home for 3 weeks, and that's why they lost. But the teams that didn't play in the conference championships, they sat out a week. They sat out a week then. And then they sat out the week of Army versus Navy. And then they came and played the first game of the playoffs. So they were out for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And before they finally played. So, at the same time, it went the other way. It was the same amount of time that they were off. There's no excuse. The teams that lost weren't the teams that were supposed to go. Oregon got whipped by Ohio State. I've been telling you guys all year long that I was not impressed with Oregon, despite the fact that they were winning, because there were a lot of close games that they could have lost, or they just didn't. And even on some of the games they won by decent margins, they didn't look impressive.
They were vulnerable. I think that's the word.
It looked vulnerable. And Ohio State, they were playing with a chip on their shoulder.
They were, but I think, Bob, you said this just to me the other day. Say if Oregon played somebody else and then played Ohio State, they still would have lost to Ohio State.
Well, I do think they would have lost. Like I said, I think we got the 4 best teams.
Yeah. I think Oregon would have lost, not just Oregon could probably lost to a lot of other teams.
Yeah, they did not look good.
No, they didn't. If you put Oregon up against that Notre Dame team right now, I think Notre Dame takes it.
I think they would have lost to Texas. I think they would have lost to Ohio State. I think they would have lost to Penn State, and I think they would have lost to Notre Dame. I think they would have lost to all 4 of those teams. Now, did Oregon play Penn State earlier in the year? I can't remember.
Yeah, they did. Good game.
Oh, but you see, that's the thing. Sometimes it's not always you may have the most success throughout the year, but you might not be one of the better teams at the end of the year. We took a right amount of teams, 12 teams. They played it out on the field, and I think we got the best 4. These 4 looked the most impressive in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I think it did work out. If we're talking about the best 4 teams that are left, the final 4, this is it. It's it. Now, whatever happens as a result of all this, we'll see. But these are the best 4 teams left.
And I think we got the some of the best coaches there too, like Ryan Day, Josh.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm just going by the history of college football. You have to beat your rivals. He's lost 4 straight to Michigan. Now, if he wins it all,
in a different era of college football.
Okay, if he wins it all, good for him. He'll stay on.
I think
he stayed on anyway. I think he's earned his spot now.
Well, no, but let's talk about that for a second. Speaking of a team that's gotten better every game they played in the playoffs, that team has excelled in ways I don't think anybody saw coming.
What, Ohio State?
Yes.
Look at them.
Yeah.
We'll get to them against Texas here in a second. But yeah, Derek, you're right. They've gotten better. Ryan Day's got that team going in the right direction. So we got the best teams. We got the best coaches. Like Ryan Day.
I have no problem against the guy.
You were ready to fire him after the loss against Michigan.
Yes, I was. I
said, wait. They're going to the playoffs. Wait and see what happens. No, we got to fire him.
No, I didn't say we had to fire him. I just said he's on the hot seat, and you think they'll fire him. That's all I said.
Now?
No, not now.
That seat is nice and cool now.
We could use a coach over at U of A if he's interested.
God, that's
come our way.
Oh, good. Wow.
Please.
Yeah.
I think USC needs a coach.
Yeah. Shut up, Derek. You're always laughing with USC. You get an F for the whole podcast.
Hey, didn't they lose to Michigan too?
They sure did. And Bob had the hat to prove it.
Alabama lost to Michigan.
You know what?
Michigan just showed up to play all the tough teams. They lost all the nobodies, and they showed up to play all the tough teams.
You know what? You asked Derek about a game, and he's like, yeah, I think that happened. But you mentioned SC? Oh, he knows the scores. He knows everything to spite me.
Thorough viewing.
All right, so we got Derek and I got Notre Dame. Josh has Penn State.
All right.
Okay.
Next one is Friday night, Ohio State and Texas.
Wait, Josh, hold on. What do you think about the score, though? Can we get your take on that?
Yeah, I'll say. Let me say Penn State 21, Notre Dame 17.
Okay. All right. So around Bob's. Okay, got it. All right.
Yeah.
Buck,
All right.
Buckeyes.
All right. Jericho, go ahead. Take us into the Buckeyes and Longhorns. Who do you like and why?
Oh, man. Earlier this week, I was thinking that Texas had a good chance of pulling this off. But then I ran into the highlights again of the way they stomped Oregon.
Yeah.
And I know that I think that Texas is a better team than Oregon, obviously, now that we've been talking about this. But like I said, they've been improving every single game they played. And I don't think they're just going to stop doing that now. I think they see that they can win this all. And I think they actually do beat Texas. I think it's going to happen. I'm going to say something along the lines of like somewhere in the range of like a 30-24. I think that is pretty reasonable in terms of what this score could come out to be. Look, if Texas does win, it wouldn't surprise me. But I think Ohio State, especially Ohio State's defense, with the way they've been playing, they don't let anything really get past them. So I'm thinking Ohio State, OHIO.
Okay, what's your score?
Somewhere around like the 30-24 range.
Okay,
somewhere around there. Yeah, seems like it.
All right, Baba, what do you think?
Depending on what happens in that Notre Dame Penn State game, I actually think the winner of this game is going to win the national championship.
Oh.
Because this really feels like it has a national championship feel to it. Ohio State and Texas. I mean, it just has that feel to it. Now, who knows what happens when you get up against one of those tough defenses with Notre Dame and Penn State? That could change everything. So, but I think Texas has a pretty good defense themselves. They've been really tough to run the football against this year.
True.
And I think this is a good, strong defense. They got a good offense, a solid running game. They got some solid wide receivers with Golden. And then you've got Helm, that tight end. I think he's pretty good. And Quinn Ewers, he's been good all year. And then if anything were to happen to him, you got Manning coming off the bench. I mean, you got a guy who could start for any other school right now, but stuck around. And I think Texas is their prime to win this game. The problem is they're going up against the Ohio State Buckeyes. And you look at that Ohio State team, and especially their coach, Ryan Day, who has his team playing with a chip on their shoulder ever since that Michigan loss. He got them right. They walloped Tennessee. They walloped Oregon, and they are going to come out and they are going to wallop Texas, because despite the fact that Texas has a good running defense, one thing that we found out is that you can still run the football. Scatterboo ran all over them. They've got two solid running backs with Henderson and Judkins, and then Arizona State threw the ball all over them, and Howard with Smith and Yuba, or I'm not sure how. I know I'm pronounced his name wrong, but who cares? He's awesome, and the two of them are going to absolutely run all over that field and all over those defense. I am taking Ohio State by. I think they're going to win by double digits. I think they're going to win by 13, 14 points. I'm going to say 40-27.
Wow.
Ooh.
Okay. I forgot Will Howard was on Kansas State last year.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was. That's right.
He's one of the players that Ohio State bought.
That's funny.
Oh, yeah,
right.
I'm way off base. They bought that team.
I'm going to go for Ohio State. I'm a big Ryan Day fan, and I think he's been a great coach, and he's got a great
crap, mega crap.
Seriously, he's got Chip Kelly. He's got Will Howard.
Right there, Josh. Right there. What you just said. He's
Chip
got
Kelly?
Chip Kelly. That he did a great job with bringing Kelly in as the offensive coordinator. Go ahead. I just wanted to point that out. Great point.
Thank you. Will Howard is really on a roll. Who's their top receiver?
Jeremiah Smith.
That's right. And Henderson's on the team, right?
You got Henderson. You got Judkins.
Right. I think Ohio State is going to win. I want to say 38-31. I think it's high scoring.
So Mika Egbuka.
Yeah.
That's the other wide receiver. The two of them are fantastic.
They are. I mean, they took the place of Marvin Harrison Jr.
You know, Jeremiah Smith is only a freshman.
Jeez, really?
I did not know that. He's a
true freshman. He's still got 2 years of eligibility before he can even think of going pro.
That's crazy.
Lord. Oh my goodness. I think the future is going to be bright for him. I see potential.
That's crazy. But okay, so it's going to be interesting. So we're saying, I guess I'm thinking Penn State versus Ohio State in the championship game. You guys are thinking Bob's thinking Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Derek's thinking Notre Dame and Texas.
No, Notre Dame and Ohio State. I said Ohio State.
Sorry. We're all thinking that no one's giving Texas a chance.
That's going to be a good national championship too. That's going to be fun if that happens.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
And
if that happens, I will pull out my Notre Dame gear. I will show up with a Notre Dame hat.
Yep.
And I don't even like them, but
I want shamrocks in your background the next time we.
I will. I'll do that. I don't even like them, but again, I am fair, and I've just been impressed with their team all year.
They say we had a national championship, USC versus Florida. Who would you go for?
If USC versus Florida?
Yeah. Wow. I really make people hate my teams. I love it.
Especially if Florida State happened to beat Florida that year and Florida still made it to the national championship and won it, then I can say we beat the national champion.
I'm sorry, how many games did Florida State win this year?
Hey, we're not talking about that anymore. We're in the playoffs now. Regular season don't matter anymore.
And by the way, your team is on the bench like ours anyway, Josh.
Exactly.
You know what, Derek? This much. You're this much.
Okay. Come here.
I will. Don't tempt me. All right.
Yeah, if you need a place to evacuate, you can come up here and I can just give you a bunch of hell up here.
Oh, God. Good God. Either there or El Paso. Anyway.
I can already see how that's going to go.
You're not going to have your mommy stand behind you anymore and wipe your little douches.
You know me so well.
You're finally going to have some discipline in your life.
Oh, my God.
No more complaining. No more Mr. Kimble have to go to the bathroom. There is no bathroom.
There is no bathroom.
All right. Let's get
Let's talk to our next.
All right, folks, we're trying to have a little bit of fun and again, just take our minds off things. So
yes,
let's go on to the next subject.
Already?
Yeah. Didn't we do
We have no more final thoughts on the games?
I love how Lane Kiffin has been busting. Did you hear what he said about Pavia from Vanderbilt? What
does that have to do with the semifinals?
Okay, nothing to talk. I don't want to talk about these teams anymore in the semifinals.
Well, then you're not a football fan, are you?
That's right.
I just wanted all the teams I wanted to win didn't win.
Well, that's because they didn't have Ryan Day coaching them.
I am a Ryan Day fan. Dude, I'm just giving my critique. That's all I was doing. Good for him.
He's giving his critique and he's calling for him to be fired.
I am just saying, just like Stephen A. Smith said, you got to beat your rivals. That's all I'm saying.
But not if you win the whole thing.
If you win the whole thing, they're not going to care about that game.
Bobby wants to give Norvell at Florida State an extension next year.
No, I didn't want. He already got the extension. That's what. See, Josh was ready to fire him, even though we were undefeated last year, and they gave him an extension. I said, Josh, they're not going to fire him. Yes, they are. They're going to fire him. You just don't get it, Bob. You see, you were undefeated last year, and now you're losing. And I said, no, Josh, that's not going to happen because they just gave him an extension. You can't fire him now. Yes, they are. You don't understand. The seat is hot.
God, I hate you.
When
Did I
he
say
impersonates
this?
Josh, he makes this face.
God, I
Besides,
hate you.
And I got to say, I am excited because Gus Malzahn coming on as the offensive coordinator and Norvell's handing over play calling duties. So now he can just be a head coach, which Josh, Josh, I've always said, I'm not a big fan of the head coach calling plays. I want them to be a head coach. Let your offensive coordinator do that. Let your coaches coach.
I have never seen it where a head coach now leaves their team to become an offensive coordinator. Chip Kelly, Gus Malzahn. I'm like, you were head coach, really?
And why did he leave, Josh?
To make more money, so he wouldn't have the stress.
Because he was going to be on the hot seat. You see, that is on the hot seat.
That is in the hot seat. All right. Do you guys have any more questions? Any more comments?
No, I'm good. Notre Dame and Ohio State.
Yep. Let's. How about that? Fighting Irish and go Buckeyes. OHIO.
We are Penn State.
You enjoy that.
All right. Next one.
I got to say real quick, that's one of my favorite intros that we've ever done for this show. I love the intro for Creature Commandos.
It's so good. Let's just go ahead and get started. Spoiler warning.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
So good. So my God, let me tell you, everybody out there, when Bobby sends you a text after an episode and just says, holy blank, you know something big has happened. So we just saw, let's see, the second to last episode of one of the best shows that I still don't know why I love, but I do, Creature Commandos. Boy, did a lot happen. This week's episode centered on Dr. Phosphorus. Kind of my favorite origin story. Everyone has a beginning, middle, and end. Lots of stuff happened in this episode. Why don't we start with you, Derico? What are some things you like? What did you think of the episode? Questions, comments, concerns? Go for it, my man.
Oh, I was thinking that, the worst of it was done with the Weasel episode, and then James Gunn said, "Oh no, just
hold my beer."
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you thought that was it, huh? Watch this. And sure enough, that's what happened. I think that Dr. Phosphorus actually was probably my favorite character when the show started. Like, I like all the characters, but there's something about him that's especially like evil and torturous. The idea of a glowing fireman is just good stuff. Big fan of Alan Tudyk, whose voices Dr. Phosphorus. It's it's exactly what you have come to expect with this show. Josh, we do love this show, but dear Lord.
I don't know who write, like how you write. You sit down and you're like, I'm going to think of the most violent stuff to write.
Well, here's the thing about James Gunn, though, which is why I do appreciate him. He knows when he can do that, and he knows when not to do that.
Right.
Like when you watch the Superman trailer, he knows I can't push limits like that. Yeah. He knows what his limits are. He's very aware. But in this show, he can push all the limits. And
I'm glad you said that, Derek, because when we get to mine, there is a point I want to tack on to that.
Sure,
so
no problem. Yeah.
Just remind me if I don't say it.
Oh yeah, no, we'll do. Okay. I really appreciate the fact that James Gunn does have this space. I think it is a good way for him to start because I do think his mind is so warped and crazy that he needed to get the crazy out first before he got to Superman. So again, it's a really, really, really well done show, but you do have to prepare yourself. Like I was thinking about this when I started watching the episode, and I'm like, I think I've seen something that's horrified me just about every episode. And depending on the severity of the horror I see, that's when I look forward to the text from Bob. He usually gives me a heads up if it gets way out of line.
Oh, yeah.
which this one, I'm not going to say it's as bad as The Weasel, but boy, it gave The Weasel a run for its money.
This was pretty bad.
This is bad. But still a lot of fun. Great episode. I was sitting there watching, thinking to myself, dear Lord, this is going to end violently. Like way more violently than we've already gotten.
Yeah.
And so I'm preparing myself for that now. I don't think I'm going to eat any food before I watch it because I feel like I'm going to puke if I try to consume something.
God.
But I'm looking forward to it. I'm a sucker for the show. I'm glad it's going to get a season 2. That's exciting.
Yeah.
It means that, this show must be doing well. People must be responding to it very, very well.
Yeah.
We already got signed up for another season coming our way. So I'm here for it. I'm here for more violence. I'm here for more fun. Yeah, I can't wait for next week. Let's see how this catastrophe ends. I'm game.
What did you think of the Batman cameo?
It was there. We got Clayface. Why not? You know what I mean? I'm not really expecting anything from like the big heroes for this one. This is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very isolated group of heroes that we're dealing with. Yeah, they're not the well-knowns. And that's cool because we're getting to explore a different group of heroes in a really, really creative, fun way. But right. I'm not expecting anything out of like Aquaman or Batman or Wonder Woman. It's cool. If I get a little cameo like I did, hey, nice touch.
By the way, there's a show on YouTube where they talk about the show. Bob, have you seen it with James Gunn?
Are you talking about DC Showcase?
I don't know what the title is, but it was just a quick thing where they asked him about the Batman cameo. And he said when they first started, they said he was going to be in it a lot more. And he's like, no, I just want a quick thing. And he said, I just want to tell everyone I am a huge Batman fan. And yeah, you're going to see Batman. You're going to be seeing Batman with Superman. But I just wanted to add a little bit now. So at least he's saying what he wants done.
Well, he was also saying that he really doesn't know what the DCU Batman is really going to fully look like. So that's why he kept him really in the shadows.
Yeah.
Can I make one point about this too, Josh? Because I know you're really angry about the waiting.
Yes.
I also like the fact that James Gunn is really taking his time and thinking this through and not oversaturating the sphere for this. I think that's a very, very smart strategic move.
But are you talking about the Batman?
I'm just talking about in general, how, what was that? I'm sorry.
Matt Reeves is doing that.
I know. But my point being is that I like the fact that he's being calculating. I like the fact that he's taking his time. I like the fact that he doesn't want to rush things. And he doesn't want to just flood with content for the sake of content.
I know what you're talking about, Derek. That's why I appreciate Matt Reeves so much for not rushing with the Batman Part 2.
God, are you an ass? I don't care. Such an ass. Oh my God.
You care a little bit, don't you? You're gonna get a Penguin season 2. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me. He was saying that they want to do the Penguin season 2, and they're trying to figure out how that's going to fit in with the Batman Part 2, which tells me we might get season 2 of the Penguin before we get the Batman Part 2, and that leads into the Batman 2.
Now he's filming Batman Part 2 this year, he said.
Yeah, they're supposed to start filming this year. But I have a feeling they could turn around and film Penguin and get that out.
They could probably get it out pretty quick.
Depending on the story, of course, and everything.
So I want to know from Bob, what did you think? Because I've been waiting for this.
So I gave you 2 warning before you guys watched the episode, because I watched it Thursday when it came out.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of things in it that just they were jaw-dropping moments is what they were. So first off, Josh, I told you that I asked you about Rick Flag, whether he was dead or not. And
not dead.
I just had a feel. I mean, I thought he was dead, but it just didn't make sense, being that he was supposed to be in Superman. So, okay, this makes a little bit more sense.
Okay.
Just some of the stuff though that James Gunn does, like
Crazy.
so like when Frankenstein's on the plane,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
and he crushes the two guys' skulls, and he's sitting down eating a steak in front of one of the guys with his eyes like hanging out and whatnot, and he's like, oh well, my bride, she is being misled, but when I go and show her the error of her ways, she's going to be happy and want to be with me and see that we were meant to be together. And it's just in the Frankenstein's mindset, what he does. I'm just like, geez. And then all throughout the episode, there were just like a lot of jaw-dropping moments, like where they end up in the brothel, the bride and Nina.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
The stuff that happened in there, like where those two dudes come in and they're like, oh, we got ourselves a piece of here, and it takes her upstairs. And next thing you know, they're beating on her and stuff. And the bride, comes to the rescue and it blows one of the guys away and then turns around and rips the other guy's heart out after breaking his arm off.
The bride is a fantastic character.
I love that character.
I mean, she Indiana Jones in Temple of Doom to the guy.
Yep.
Where she and she's holding the heart, and it's like, and then she just, and it's like, good Lord, I just the stuff that they do in this, it's crazy. And then the whole storyline with Dr. Phosphorus. Now, this is the point that I was going to make, Derek, about how James Gunn knows what he can get away with and what he can't. So with the Weasel episode, we saw some of the kids, untimely, ends, and it was rough because you saw the Weasel trying to rescue them. And we all thought beforehand that was going to be the most demented episode, and it wasn't. It was the most heartbreaking episode because the Weasel turns out he's actually kind of a heartfelt character.
Yeah.
And so it was real sad. But in this episode, Dr. Phosphorus wiped out a couple of kids too. He wiped out Thorne's kid.
He sure did.
Because they say on the news, I actually did a rewatch of this, and they said on the news that they found Rupert Thorne, his wife, and the two kids. Yep. That they were all and and so they didn't show that because it was one thing to see the kids, in an accident and the Weasel trying to rescue them. It would have been another to show Phosphorus doing them in. So they didn't show that.
Pure brutality. Yeah.
Instead, we see Phosphorus wiping out the other Rupert Thorne's other henchmen, like holding the one over the building, and then the legs melt while he's holding him and he falls. And the next thing you know, after you're seeing all this crazy stuff, you see him dancing.
What did you think of the Batman cameo?
It was okay. I mean, it was cool. I mean, it was cool to see Batman, but I don't get as Josh, I don't get as excited about cameos as you do. Now, I will say this: being that that it was clearly taking place in Gotham, right from the get-go, right when you see Phosphorus jump out of the truck at the beginning of the episode, you knew they were in Gotham. You just knew it because of the way Gotham looked and the music that was going in the background. And so to see Batman there and you realize, okay, Batman's the one that captured him and that's why he was in prison. So, I mean, that was cool. But, I mean, it was cool. There wasn't anything crazy about it. He didn't speak. We didn't see him up close, any of that. We just saw him in the shadows.
It was there.
It was just there in the shadows. It was okay.
We saw more of him there than we did in Gotham.
No, we saw more in Gotham, and we actually heard him speak in Gotham.
Yeah,
I actually watched the last scene this past weekend again from Gotham. I don't know why you hated that
there than you did
so much.
The Penguin.
Bob, it's grown on me. I've told you that religiously now. Like, it's grown on me. I'll watch it.
Josh, it doesn't matter what people say down the line. We can only hold them to what they originally said. You know that. You made that clear today.
Oh, God. Question for both of you. And I know this isn't going to happen, but it was a little weird. the girl that Weasel, his buddy, who I guess is dead.
Yeah.
She didn't grow up to be the princess, did she?
No, I think that was just the thing that she kind of looked like.
Right? Didn't she kind of look like
but
her?
No, but that was the point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think where they're going, because did you see the promo at the end?
Yes, I did.
In the promo for next week, you see them trying to kill the princess.
Right.
But there's this little scene where the weasel attacks Dr. Phosphorus. I think the weasel is going to think of the princess as the little girl.
Okay.
And try to protect her. That's what I think's going to happen. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what I think's going to happen.
All right. So I'll get to my opinion of it. Wow. What a freaking episode. Just like Bob said, that plane scene with Frankenstein. Excuse me. I mean, the way he kills the guy, and then he tells the pilot, "We're going here." Okay.
David Harbour is a great voice for that.
I want to see him play him in real time. I want to see him play him in live action. I thought that scene was cool. Derek, I told Bob this. I originally thought Rupert Thorne was Carmine Falcone.
I don't know.
Rupert Thorne?
Yeah, I knew it was Rupert Thorne.
I didn't know at first who it was. And then
I thought that was the part that was cooler about it actually than Batman. I'm like, oh, that's how it all links up.
Yeah,
I knew it was Rupert Thorne. I mean, because he was almost identical to the animated series look.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I got there too. I'm like, that's Rupert Thorne.
Yeah,
it was almost instant for me. You got Carmine Falcone out of that?
No, I just wasn't sure. I didn't think so, but I didn't know who it was. To be honest with you, I didn't know. I didn't know who. I
thought it was Carmine Falcone, but I didn't think so. I mean,
well, you never know. I mean, you never know. But I thought he was going to kill.
You never know. I didn't think so, but I thought it was him, but I didn't think it was.
I thought Phosphorus was going to kill the little girl he was playing with.
Yeah, that was certainly a possibility.
But that goes back to where James Gunn knows that he couldn't have done that.
Yeah,
if
you
he had
can't
done that,
push limits that hard.
Like it was one thing for it to happen off camera to Thorne's kids, but it would have been another to happen on camera, especially when you're trying to make these characters sympathetic characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
You needed to show his family getting ice before you can't be the one doing the icing of other people's families.
Which reminds me, when you saw his own family.
That was the roughest part of that whole episode.
Oh, that was crazy.
That was it.
That was crazy. Ay.
And I can't blame him for going on what he did.
Oh,
but
God.
That's what makes him sympathetic, right? That's why you like
him. All right. Where do you think, gentlemen, this is headed next? I guess tomorrow. What's the finale? What do you think we're getting at?
Everybody's going to shake hands, sit down, have some tea,
sing "Kumbaya," my lord.
There's going to be nothing really that it's going to be too extreme. I don't think.
You think they kill the princess? You think she ends up being who they think she is?
It wouldn't surprise me if both Circe and her get iced. Like they just wipe out everybody.
Okay.
I don't know. It's going to be very, very violent, obviously, but I have no idea what's going to happen here at all.
Bob, what do you think?
Well, I think this ends on a cliffhanger, but I do think that we're going to see Ryan Day have a great coaching performance.
Oh my God. God help me. If anyone's out there.
I do think this is going to end on a cliffhanger. Goodness, Josh. You can tell when he's mad because he gets right up in the camera and he's stretching his face out.
He keeps going like this.
I go like this. I get so mad.
And he stretches everything out. Oh God. Anyway,
early.
I do think that
look at the man down by the river.
That's right.
Yeah.
I do think we're gonna see a cliffhanger here. I think I don't think Cersei's gonna get iced, but I do think possibly the princess does. But that's what Cersei wanted, but not for the reasons they thought. And I think that's gonna spark something. We'll see where it's gonna go. But I am curious to see. It's funny because by the time we release this episode and we're reviewing episode 6, episode 7 will be out already.
That's crazy.
So
That is crazy.
There's only one more origin story left too. It's the fish, right? The
yeah,
girl?
we're supposed in the promo they showed. We're gonna see her origin story along with Ryan Day's coaching performance.
Yeah.
And
They should make Ryan Day the Creature Commando officially.
Oh my god!
you know, I'm talking him up so much. Watch him get whipped.
Oh, I will laugh. I will laugh.
Oh,
And then what I'll say is he should be fired. No, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, like I said, I'm leaning towards cliffhanger.
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't think anyone else is going to get shot. I think we'll get Flag coming back. Don't you? I think
He
Rick
had a
Flag
broken
will-
back, so I mean, if he shows up, they're going to give him that miracle serum that they gave Peacemaker.
yeah.
I'm
It
still.
would be funny as if like if Flag couldn't move and Frankenstein like is sitting there pushing him around, trying to get.
That would be funny. I wonder if we'll get GI Robot back, or if he's.
Yeah,
done.
I think that's a very distinct possibility.
You know, I don't see it happening in this episode because we are going to spend some time with Nina and her backstory,
Yeah,
unless they up the final episode to like 10, 15 minutes longer.
yeah. I wonder what they'll do with that. I don't know.
They could do that. I mean,
But they've really done a great episode. Think about it. We got Penguin, which we loved, and we love this show. So we're getting there.
Yeah, Max hit some home runs, man. They did a good job with the DC partnership.
They have. I'm happy. All right. Anything else, gentlemen?
No, this is a good show. I'm sad that it's going to be ending, but
I know this was the sick thing I looked forward to all week.
I
Now I have to let it go.
did you say the sick thing you were looking forward to?
It is so sadistic. It's sick. It's sadistic. I should hate it. I should say I cannot watch it, and it just draws my attention every week.
I'm wondering now how you'll feel about Suicide Squad after having watched Creature Commandos.
This is the thing. Like I told you guys after when you called me for the first episode, I've always been a fan of Frankenstein. I've always been a fan of like Bride of Frankenstein. I like GI Robot. Like I like the characters.
Well, well, that's what I mean. Would you like if you watched Suicide Squad again and kind of watched it for the characters? How would you feel about it then? I still think you should watch Peacemaker. Peacemaker's fun.
Yeah, I probably should watch it.
John Cena's best work.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
And that's not saying much.
No, not at all. But he's good. He's very, very good in that show.
I didn't like the starfish in Suicide Squad.
Well, I get that. I mean, that was a dumb storyline, but at the end of the day, I still think the characters were fun.
Josh also gets an origin story every episode.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That's why he loves it.
Jazz hands. Get my origin stories, which I love. I love origin stories. I just do.
Did you ever see Ryan Day's origin story?
I did.
It's great. Ryan Gosling plays him.
No, but you know who's I did? What video I watched? Bobby Bowden. Very good origin story or thing. All right. Well, I can't wait to see it. Let's see what happens. All right, Bob, go to the next thing. Well, as you know, I won last week in fantasy football.
Josh, be quiet.
We'll
take over from here.
Shut up. I'm so sick of you right now. Unreal.
So last week, week,
you don't
after,
cut me off.
No, hold on. This is my segment. So last week, Josh really put it on the both.
You bunch of losers!
You bunch of losers.
Well, I don't. You didn't put it on me quite as much because I had a pretty good score, but
you did.
not as good as you. And Josh set the high score. However, that high score didn't last very long.
God, I hate you.
And this week we have a new high score, as things did not go well at all for Josh and Derek.
Oops.
Yep. Over and over.
All right, so we're going to get into our last place. That was Derek.
Yeah.
And Derek, you actually didn't have a bad score. I mean, 122.
No,
It wasn't bad. So we'll get into that. Geno Smith, he was a good play, 26.32 points. Bijan Robinson had a very good game, 34.3. Bucky Irving, kind of a mid game for him, but not bad, 16.4. Smith and Jigba, that was the rough play. I didn't even see who the top receiver was for him, but you would have needed one of the receivers that caught a touchdown.
Was it Lockett?
It might have been. I didn't actually see what it was. Mike Evans was a decent play at 17.9. Jamison Crowder was a play that really hurt you. He got -1 point. You only got a fumble, nothing else for you. Peyton Hendershot, 2 catches for 25 yards, 4.5 points. Michael Carter was a good play at 4,700 with 15.9 points. The Chargers defense with 3 points. Your final score was 122.62. Final verdict.
Come on, Banks! You're supposed to be hitting a sled, not humping a butterfly.
Wait, hold on. I'm not kidding you, Bob, sent you the clip of blow the whistle. And I said, I was going to say, play this when I lose.
Oh, my God.
Come on, Banks! You're supposed to be hitting a sled, not humping a butterfly.
Is that necessary roughness?
Yes.
I thought.
He's humping a butterfly there. So,
I haven't seen that in so long.
So anyway, now we're gonna get into our second place finish, which for the first time in a while wasn't me. And, Josh, this is a weird place for you in second place because you're either in last place multiple weeks with some first place finishes sprinkled in, but you got second place this week. Baker Mayfield, 22.64. Most of his yardage came towards the end. What really helped him was he got the 68 rushing yards, which helped give him a boost on his point total. Bucky Irving, 16.4. Joe Mixon was a big letdown for you. Only got 3.8 points.
You didn't play him.
Well, they didn't need to. Their spot was pretty much secure where it was at. Cortland Sutton, he got you 20.8 points. Good play. Quentin Johnston was a very good play. 34.6 points. I was curious how much the starters were going to play there, but they were playing for some seeding, so that played into it. Mike Evans, 17.9 points. Kyle Kotera at 3 points as tight end for the Eagles. You played Schoonmaker as your money saver, 3.6 points. The Broncos defense, 15 points. Your final score was 137.74. Final verdict.
Dr. Poole!
Dr. Poole?
Hello? Get back in the room.
That was genius. I was like, really, Oscar? And then...
Dr. Poole!
Dr. Poole?
Hello? Get back in the room.
That's like us with Josh, where he's like, hello,
that's
back in the room.
That was one more time.
Dr. Poole!
Dr. Poole?
Hello? Get back in the room.
I think Bobby's the only one on earth who owns that movie and likes it.
Hey, I do like it. But that's because I think a lot of people really misunderstood what Oscar was going to be.
I watched it with you the last time I saw it.
Yeah, so I think people were wanting they were wanting Tulsa King with Oscar when they heard that Stallone was playing a gangster. And that's not what Oscar is. It's a stage play.
Hey.
So
I vividly remember seeing it in the theater.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Oh, I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it with Bob. I know one time.
Yeah. Saturday night at the movies at the Tandro household. We were there.
You've got Sylvester Stallone, you got Marissa Tomei, and you got Tim Curry.
Hey.
All right. So now we get to our champ for the week. Had to pull that sangria back out.
There it is.
And I went with, and I have set the new high score with this lineup. Baker Mayfield, 22.64 points. Michael Carter, 15.9. Notice on this, there are no icicles on anybody on this. That was 15.9. Bucky Irving, 16.4. Brian Thomas Jr., 20.3. Drake London, I played, and I was hesitant to play him. Honestly, I was about to play Adam Thielen and play the Buccaneers defense, but instead I dropped down to the Broncos and bumped up to Drake London. Paid off for me as he got 43.7 points. McMillan, I partnered up with Mayfield. He got 19 points. Partnered up Durham at tight end for his price at 9.6. He did fine. Michael Pittman, 13.2. I played the Broncos defense, 15 points. My final score was the new high score of 175.74. Final verdict.
It's so good.
That's
These are the
beautiful.
best ones. This might be your best week, Bob.
All right, and we got to the leaderboard. Josh, you are still up by 7-6 for both Derek and I. We do have 3 weeks of the playoffs, so anything is possible over the next few weeks. So let's see how it goes. I will get the link to you guys probably either tomorrow or Friday because some of the games are on Saturday, so you're going to have to pick your lineup a little earlier. So just be aware of that.
Hey. All right. Sorry.
Get back in your room.
Get back in the room.
All right. Let's go on to our final segment of the evening. All right. We're back now from that 35-minute video.
Hey, I had to show every team, though.
Anyway, I got to just start off by saying, my God, Derek, in August, I thought you were insane. Oh, Washington is going to be good. No, they're not. They're in the playoffs. 11-win season. I don't know what you knew that week. Bob and I didn't know, but...
Hold on. I didn't put Washington in the playoffs. But I did tell you that I thought they were going to be one of the most improved teams because why did I tell you that, Josh?
Because of Jalen Daniels.
Not Jalen Daniels, Jaden Daniels.
Jalen Daniels is from Kansas. Anyway, as you can see, everyone, the wild card playoffs for the NFL is this weekend, starting on Saturday and going all the way up till Monday. Derek's Niners and my Dolphins did not make it. Bad year. But anyway, we have some really good matches. So why don't we why don't you put the brackets up there, Bob, so we can take a look.
All right, hold on.
Well, he's doing that. Josh, spell Jaden. Spell it.
Jaden? Jayden.
Okay, you need to remember that.
It's because Kansas's quarterback was Jalen, and that's where I get confused.
I didn't ask for excuses. I just asked you to spell Jaden.
You know what, Derek? Shut up.
Yeah, I don't know what that has to do with it. Well, it's because Kansas.
Just don't talk. Bob. Okay, this is all like 35 minutes of not talking.
It's like those. It's like those things
Great.
they don't equate.
They don't equate. They don't equate. Oh, I knew that was coming up. I knew that was happening.
Well, did
I told you. All right.
I
So
don't know
here
if
we
I can
go.
blow it up anymore.
All right.
We get the gist of it.
So let's start out with the AFC playoffs. As everybody knows, Kansas City has the first round bye. We'll just go
Okay, there we
through.
go.
Oh, there you go, big guy.
Nice.
Nice. I want to say the first matchup is the Chargers and Texans, I believe, on Saturday.
It's Bill. Yes, no, that is right. It's 1:30.
Okay.
Hey, Eric, you take care of the times. So
I will do that.
All right. So Texans, Chargers. I think what we're going to do is just go around and who we think is going to win, maybe give a score, just like we did for the college football playoff. Bob, why don't you start? Who do you like and why?
Chargers.
Okay.
At the beginning of the season, I picked the Texans to go pretty far. I said they would lose in the AFC Championship to Kansas City. I was real impressed with Houston last year. I have not been as impressed with Houston this year. In all fairness, they did lose some wide receivers, which I think really hurt them. But I just don't – I think what we've seen is the sophomore slump from C.J. Stroud. Not that he's played bad, but it's been a slump compared to last year. Now, luckily, they had Joe Mixon to pick up that slack, and so they were still an extremely good offense,
Right.
but not as good as they were last year. I also don't think – I think their defense is vulnerable, and I think the Chargers are hot right now. So I'm taking the Chargers. Let me say in that dome, I'm going to say 27-24.
Okay. So a close game.
Well, closer, but I just think that the Chargers are going to pull it off. And, 27-24.
All right. Derico, who do you like? Well, you'll take the favorite and then, act like you know everything. So go ahead.
No, I'm not going to go now.
Jesus, Josh, you ruined it.
Okay.
You know what? You ruin it. I told you not to talk for 35 minutes and you don't listen.
Dr. Poole!
Dr. Poole?
Hello? Get back in the room!
You should make shirts that say "Get back in your room."
All right. No, joking aside, Derek, who do you like?
I was actually feeling pretty confident about the Texans too at the beginning of the season, and
Sure.
To Bob's point, he hasn't been playing bad, but CJ Stroud has been playing off. He's just off. It's something's just not clicking for him right now. I don't think it's going to continue. I think the future is going to be still very bright for him.
Agreed.
Yeah, but it just something's just not working right now, and the Chargers are getting hot. I had Jim Harbaugh coaching my team. He's a difference maker. And whenever he gets in the playoffs, he tends to go pretty deep. I'm not saying the Chargers are going to win the Super Bowl by any means, but they'll make a mark, and I think this will be the first game that they do it. I'm going to go Chargers, and I will say something like 33-27 sounds about right.
Okay.
This one. Harbaugh's a difference maker, man. He just is. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Chargers do in this game. I've been much more impressed with them as the season has gone on. I think it started off a little rocky, but they found their groove. They found their stride. So I'm looking forward to this. This is a good first matchup. This is good.
No, it definitely is. I agree with you guys. I think the Chargers are hot right now. I think they have the talent, with Herbert, with Quentin Johnston, with Khalil Mack. Their defense is good. Derwin James, former Seminole, who Bobby likes, who's healthy. I will say this, though, and I think you guys would agree with me. If the Chargers were to lose, I don't think it's going to happen, but the Texans do have home field. So maybe that stadium is rocking. You have Joe Mixon playing. If CJ Stroud gets hot, I think if they lose, which I think they will, injuries was a big thing. And I agree with Derek. Yes, CJ's been off, but I think it's the injuries to the team that's made him be a little off. If I'm their coach, I mean, you both saw what Pierce did last week, taking off that 98-yard run. I would run the ball with both him and Mixon. I would really try to stick to the running game if you can, and see if you can, take down the Chargers that way.
That's gonna be tough against the Chargers, but I know what you're saying.
I was about to say that defense is pretty good against the run.
Right. With that said, I'm going to say Chargers 24, Texans 14. I think they win by 10.
This could be a lot closer than anybody's thinking, too. This could come down to like field goals, honestly.
It could be. It could. It very well. All right. So that's that one. Derico, are we on Baltimore, Pittsburgh? Is that the next time slot?
We are on Baltimore and Pittsburgh. That is the night game. This will be at 5 p.m. our time. I think. Yes, your favorite.
Yeah, my favorite. No, I like it. It's fine. Anyway, Derek, who do you like and why?
Well, just an important note here. I was talking about how Creature Commandos is some sick stuff I look forward to, but who can forget about some potential homicide we're going to see in this game? Because it's Pittsburgh and Baltimore, who cannot stand each other. And the fans would agree. So make sure you take a look at the field and the stands, because it could be bloody. Having said that, Pittsburgh has surprised me this year. I was not anticipating that they were going to be much as a team. I thought they had a fair amount of weaknesses, but it turns out that they actually did a lot of good work in the offseason, and they've been able to show some pretty good consistency, if nothing else. There's Bob's word, which Josh hates.
Consistent.
Yep, they have been.
I
give them a lot of credit for that. But Baltimore is just way too better of a team, I think, on both sides of the field, offense and defense. I think they're much more talented. And I think it's going to show in this game specifically. I think they're going to do a pretty good job beating up the Steelers. And I wouldn't surprise me if we get something like 30-14 in this game. I'm not going to say it's like going to be a total like shutout blowout, but I do expect a pretty big beating.
Derico, is Zay Flowers playing? Do we know or no?
Oh, no. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Bob, do you know?
I don't think it's for sure yet, but
yeah.
I think he's probably going to miss this week is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
That ain't going to – I don't think that's actually going to matter at all. I think they've got enough talent on both sides of the field.
Bateman and Derrick Henry. Yeah, okay.
They can still run. They can still run all over Pittsburgh if they really want to.
Got it. All right, Bob. Who do you like and why?
When you're looking at a game like this between division rivals, I think you're looking at some of the other things. Not just the obvious things. That the players on the field or whatnot. You got to look at coaching, and I think coaching really comes into this thing. And when it comes down to it, I just think that Ryan Day really is going to pull this. I think he's a great coach. Now, he's not coaching in this game, but I just wanted to point that out. I think Ryan Day is a great coach. And for a game like this, I like what Harbaugh has done. And that's not a knock on Tomlin, because Tomlin finds a way to get the best out of his players. And year in and year out, he has teams that probably shouldn't make the playoffs, but he finds ways to make the playoffs with them. But like a lot of those years, he's not going to get out of this first round. I like Baltimore in this game. I think that when you look at that roster, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, even without Zay Flowers, you still got Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman. I think there's a team here that they're going to find a way to throw the football. They're going to move the football. I like Baltimore in this game.
Yeah.
What's your
I'm going to say 27-17.
Okay.
It's the other Harbaugh. How about that?
So just to start, Bobby was, giving his respect to Mike Tomlin. The guy's never had a losing season. Isn't that nuts?
That's great. Yeah, that is.
Had a losing season, Derico. And all
he's been there for 11 years or something.
No, longer than that.
I know. I can't even remember. But
like 16 years. He's never had a losing season. So, kudos to him. He's rejuvenated Russell Wilson's career, I feel. With that said, I like Baltimore. Pittsburgh is coming in. They've lost 5 straight games, gentlemen. Should they win this one based on
4
that?
straight, actually.
Is it 4 straight? Okay.
Yeah, I looked at it earlier today because I was like, oh, they've lost 5 in a row, and then had to verify that as 4.
Okay. So they've lost still. Not good to go into the playoffs, losing 4 straight games. I said this back in August when we talked about this. You have Derrick Henry now with Lamar Jackson. It's a sick field, backfield. So they can do so much with RPOs, with running the football. Like Bob said, you have Bateman, you have Mark Andrews. You have all. This could be Baltimore's year.
They're loaded. They're loaded in every dimension now.
And I think they're ready to go. And I think they will win this game. I'm going to say 28-10.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I think. I think they go in there and they will dominate. And look, and I'm going to just tell you guys can think different. Everything we say, if the opposite happens, I don't think I'd be surprised.
You think that the Steelers, if they won, you wouldn't be surprised?
I would say Russell Wilson's won a Super Bowl. How do we know he just doesn't come out and plays his butt off?
That was a long time ago, sir.
I mean, people had him buried this year. People had Justin Fields, and he came in and really helped them out. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Just for me, that this game, I mean, it'd be a huge upset.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the game is close because they are division rivals.
Yeah, that's the other.
That I wouldn't be surprised of.
But if
I just don't see the Steelers beating Baltimore.
If that Ravens team can't beat the Steelers in the first round, they didn't have any business being there to begin with.
Yeah, I think they'll win. I think Baltimore will win. Anyway, all right, let's go to when's the Buffalo-Denver game, Derek?
That is the following day. That is this is the first Sunday game of the 3.
I want to check this one out. I'm excited about this one.
There's only 2 games on Saturday, right?
Yeah, that's it. We just covered the 2. So
okay,
this will be the first one on Sunday.
Okay, right. Bob, who do you like in this one and why?
I like Buffalo because of one man, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Look, when Denver drafted Bo Nix, I was all excited. I told you, Josh, that I thought that was a perfect pick.
Yeah.
I've been impressed with Bo Nix for quite some time. If he was playing with Oregon this year, they maybe could have beaten Ryan Day, but Ryan Day just simply outcoached him. And but with Bo Nix, they Denver has really blossomed. I really like what they're doing over there. But going into Buffalo and Josh Allen on the other side, Josh Allen to me, I know Lamar's probably going to win MVP, and there's nothing wrong with him winning MVP because he's definitely got the numbers and he's looked the part all year. Just me personally, I think what Josh Allen has done has been more impressive than what Lamar Jackson has done, simply because I think Lamar has a better roster and Josh Allen has not had that roster. Now they don't have a bad roster, but up until getting Amari Cooper, who still really hasn't jumped out since he's come to Buffalo, it's like a who's who of wide receivers, where over in Baltimore, you got Zay Flowers, you got Mark Andrews, and then you got Derrick Henry running in the backfield. Nobody thinks of James Cook as an elite running back. Not that he's a bad running back. I think he's a fantastic running back, and he should be in that conversation, but he's not. So for that reason, I think what Josh Allen has done has been more impressive, and I think Josh Allen's going to find a way to get it done. So I'm going with Buffalo.
What's your final?
We'll say 30-17.
Okay. Do we know the temperature there? Well, it doesn't matter. It's going to be cold as hell. So,
yeah.
All right, Derico, what do you think?
First of all, Josh, as he was my highest score, I made a statue of Josh Allen in my house. Want to come over and see it?
Why do you hate me? What have I done?
Hey, question. Didn't Josh Allen beat the Dolphins both times this year?
Bob, what are you, a lawyer? Why? What have I told you? Like, this should be a mute button for Bob where we don't have to hear his voice every 5 seconds, and it's an insult. It's not
I would
nice.
be. I would be careful, John. He's got the power to mute the both of us.
All right, so go ahead, Derek. Who
All
do you
right.
like?
Yeah. I kind of feel like Denver the same way I feel about Pittsburgh. They're heading in the right direction. I do think Bo Nix is the right selection for them. They're clearly more set on the schemes that they run, how they're playing football. It's much more fluid for them, which is great. It's just not this year for them. Buffalo's it's too good.
Don't be surprised if Denver makes a run at the AFC West next year.
No, now if we're talking about next season, that becomes an entirely different story.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree with you. This is an up and coming team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're making good moves, and I think that Denver could easily be call it like a 12-5 team next year. It would not surprise me.
I think
this
they get a big receiver in the draft.
What was that?
I think if they could get a big receiver in the draft or a tight end,
I don't even know if they need one, Josh, because because Marvin Mims is really stepping up.
Yeah,
you got Troy Franklin on that team, and Cortland Sutton. You got a pretty pretty good wide receiver group there.
Maybe you go defense.
If you do, you already got a top defense. So
or maybe a line then.
And Bo Nix is coming along well too. I think he's got a strong upside, which I think will definitely come through next season. To Bob's point there, just not this one, just not this time.
What's your final?
Final. With this one, this one could be pretty close actually, but they are in Buffalo, and it is going to be cold as BALLS there. I'll call it 27-14.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking that could be right around where it's going to be. What about you, Josh? Your turn.
Look, I think Buffalo wins this. I'm really impressed with what Denver's done. Bob and I have followed Bo Nix's career since he was at Auburn. The guy, it was a great draft pick. You've got Sean Payton, who's won a championship. I mean, this is a team that gave up 70 points to the Dolphins last year. Like, they laid them for dead.
And weren't they the top defense this year?
Yeah.
They were, yeah.
I'm trying to
remember. Amazing what they've done.
They were number one in sacks, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they've done amazing. I'm trying to think who their D coordinator is. I wanted to say Vic Fangio, but it's not. He's at Philly. No. He might have been there last year, I think. Or no, he was their coach a couple of years ago. Anyway, this is the deal with Buffalo. Buffalo needs to win. They need a win. I think they win. No, and I'm not firing their coach, McDermott.
Vance Joseph.
Yeah, it was Vance Joseph. Thank you. I'm not firing McDermott per se. I don't know what they would do. We have seen, though, all three of us have seen a team like the Chargers went 14-2, lost to the Patriots, and Marty Schottenheimer, God rest his soul, got fired.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo, this might be their year to maybe break through and get to the Super Bowl if they can, because it's funny because last year, they had Stephon Diggs and they had Gabe Davis and, they had all these guys who we knew and they couldn't beat the Chiefs, right? They lost to the Chiefs last year again?
Yes, again. I think so.
So I just think because nobody's talking about them as much. And like you guys said, they don't have this team. I mean, I still like Keon Coleman from, the 2-win Florida State Seminoles.
No. He was from the undefeated Florida State Seminoles.
And I just want to mention
I just got to point that out. It's kind of like, you see, they were the undefeated Seminoles, just like Ryan Day has taken the Ohio State Buckeyes to the semifinals.
Anyway, so I think Buffalo wins. I would not be surprised if Denver won. I don't think it'll happen. I'm going to say Buffalo wins 31-20.
All right.
Okay. So then if we go AFC, if we go the next round, we're projecting Chargers against Kansas City, which that could be very interesting. And then Buffalo and Baltimore will be a dandy too. That's good stuff.
So, all right, let's move on to the NFC. The Detroit Lions have their first round bye. So I believe the first game we're getting, Derek, Eagles and Packers?
Yep, Green Bay, Philly.
Okay. This is a rematch from week 1 when they played in Brazil. I think the Eagles won that one,
The
right?
Eagles won that one.
They did. It was a good game.
It was a very good game. It was just on the other night, actually, on NFL Network. Bob, let's go with you on this one. I'm kind of curious where you're at with this. And is Jalen Hurts playing?
Yeah, he's going to play.
Okay, so go ahead.
So here's the problem.
Ryan Day's not coaching.
I have thought very highly of Green Bay's roster. Ryan Day put together a great squad over there. I really like what Matt LaFleur has going on over there. I like Jordan Love. I like that roster of the group of wide receivers. Josh Jacobs, Tucker Kraft. I really like that offense. The defense, I think, is pretty good as well. The problem, though, is since week 1, this team has just gotten banged up week in and week out. They're consistently having injury problems this year, and I think that's going to affect them in this game. And Philly, yeah, they were banged up here a little bit at the end of the season, but Jalen Hurts didn't play last couple of weeks. He'll be ready to go. And I think, resting A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith this last week was good. You rest Saquon Barkley. I mean, Saquon ran for 2,000 yards. I mean, that was awesome. And I think the Eagles have quietly, got up to that number 2 seed because all the focus has been on the Lions, and you had Minnesota go, right there with them, and nobody's talking about the Eagles. And yet they're only 1 game behind the Lions. I mean, they're tied for the second best record in the NFC.
Right.
I think this is a team that could make some waves all the way through the playoffs, and I'm taking the Eagles to beat Green Bay. I've got the Eagles winning 24-21.
Okay. Interesting. Okay,
The
Derek.
difference is going to be that tush push.
Oh, God. Derek, what do you think?
God, I hate these two. I can't stand these two.
Really?
Yes. Green Bay used to be the biggest thorn on my side until Terrell Owens caught the ball with one hand. That only happened for one game.
God, that was amazing.
I mean, look, to Bob's point, they did make some great strides in terms of the players they have, how they have been really executing has been great. But they have now gotten to the point where they now suffer the same fate that my Niners did. The injury bug is starting to bite them too hard, and they're in too deep that water where I think a team like Philly is poised to just put the nail on the coffin for them this season. I do think it'll still be close. I don't think this is going to be like a total wipe of the floor. I'm going to say maybe like 24-21. I could see this going down to a field goal.
Okay. As you were talking,
I hate Philly because they absolutely wiped my team apart in that one playoff game and never let us forget it until we got revenge on them the next season.
They fell apart after that.
They did.
Yes, they did, but at least we got revenge on Philly and that was really what mattered the most.
Well, that's what I mean, is that after you guys got revenge, they fell apart.
You're talking about my team just going to the Super Bowl.
No, because your team went to the Super Bowl. Yeah. Philly just fell apart after you took revenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't win one after that.
See, and the thing is you guys did just as good as Philly the year before. You guys went to the Super Bowl and lost too. So, both to the same team. So
but I do agree with you, Bob. I mean, this is a team that could make a real deep run in the playoffs and probably give the Lions a pretty good run for their money.
Yeah, don't be surprised if they go all the way to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're going to.
Yeah,
I mean,
week by
but
week, week by week.
just don't be surprised. This is a good football team that nobody's talking about.
They made all the right moves in terms of the things that they needed, and nobody noticed it.
Yeah,
you're right. They've been just sitting here executing.
So it's funny, as Derek was talking, I was like, could the Packers upset them?
Oh,
but
that's a real tall order right now.
When you guys started talking about the Eagles roster, because that's where I go to, because you got Saquon, who's having an incredible year. You've got Jalen, who can have a great game. You've got Devontae Smith. You've got A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
See, Josh, his name is Jalen.
Okay, so. Yes, thank you. Spell it.
God, please just make Bobby not talk for like a day. It would be so nice. You know,
Dr. Poole!
Dr. Poole?
Hello? Get back in the room!
Can I have the parrot? Let me have the parrot. Have the parrot.
Go ahead, Josh.
He'll get the parrot lined up.
Anyway, so I think the Eagles will win.
Shut up!
Okay, then I'll go for the Packers.
You asked. I just want to point out you asked for the parrot.
Everybody, Bobby is a bully. I want everybody.
No. You can't say that I'm a bully when you asked for the parrot.
Derek cries at night because he knows how much of a bully Bobby is. Anyway, Eagles win. I'm going to say
he asks for it and then complains and wants sympathy.
I'm going to say Eagles 27, Packers 24.
Boy, you keep acting like that, Josh. We're going to change the name of the show to Mom's Turn to Talk.
Yeah.
Ow.
Baby Needs His Bottle will be the new name of that show.
Baby Needs His Bottle.
Everybody, please comment. If Bobby's being mean to me on a consistent basis, let us know.
That's right. Ask for the fans' help. That'll do it.
Yes. All right. Let's go on.
Mean, Josh. Oh, gosh.
Let's go on to our next game. We have Washington versus Tampa Bay. Because I just don't want to hear Bobby right now. Derek, who do you like in this one and why?
Goodness, Josh, this is the one I would have been with you on.
I don't know if you will or not. I don't know. Go ahead, Derek. Who do you like?
Who do I like or who do I think?
I know you like Washington, but you're thinking Tampa Bay, aren't you?
Yeah.
Why? The home field?
1 and 2, the Bucks have been there more than Washington has. Okay. Now you get me into next season, it's a different story. It's like Denver.
Right.
But this season, oh man.
Yeah.
I think
you know Baker Mayfield's on Tampa.
I don't care if Baker Mayfield's on Tampa.
You don't like Baker.
I know, but it doesn't mean I don't. You asked me what I liked versus what I thought.
You've got
Stop
Baker.
whining.
You've got Baker with crypto. You know.
What does crypto have to do with any of this?
Nothing.
Exactly. Enough. Get back in your room. Okay. Oh, how cute. Josh wrote crypto in our chat. That's just adorable. Thank you for wasting.
All right. So you're thinking Tampa.
I think
you spelled it right, Josh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do think this one's going to be like
I have no idea.
Also extremely close. I think this could be like 24-21. This is going to be a good game actually. This is a good matchup with these.
Excited about that game.
Yeah, I think. It's even possible that this could come down to like a shootout with these two. So it's going to be fun to watch. This is intriguing. I am excited about this one. I'll go Tampa Bay.
Okay, interesting. Bob, I think I know who you like, but go ahead.
Let me point out that I think Ryan Day is a generational coach. And
why don't I have
okay. Jaden Daniels, I have thought very highly of since the draft. The man is an amazing talent, and Washington is so improved. I've been very impressed with Washington, and I've been impressed with Jaden Daniels. They are a year early.
Yeah.
I am going with the man that Josh and I have thought highly of, with the man that Cleveland never should have gotten rid of.
Nope.
Because they have been in the toilet ever since they got rid of him. And that is Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Despite losing Chris Godwin earlier in the year, Tampa Bay is still throwing the football extremely well. Bucky Irving has been a revelation in Tampa. And
Yeah,
I like this offense. Their defense, they're not that great, which is why this could turn out to be a shootout. I think the home field advantage is going to come into it. I think Baker and that chip that he carries on his shoulder when he plays, I think that's what's going to carry them through. I like Tampa Bay, and like you said, shootout, I'm going to say 38-34. I'm going with Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I think it's going to be Bucky Irving that's going to be the factor for them. That's
the thing with Bucky Irving is he can do it in the rushing game, or with the rushing attack, or in the passing game. He's a great dual threat running
he's
back.
Like Debo when Debo was alive, when he showed up. It's the same thing. He's really fun to watch. He's
a fantastic running back.
Yeah.
And I really thought he was a great pickup for Tampa Bay. And so I'm going with Tampa.
Now Washington made the playoffs. They made it. So I can say that.
And you know what? To be fair to Bobby, he's consistent. He's always had a thing for Tampa Bay. He really has. Like over the years, you've always liked Tampa Bay.
Well, I've always been kind of partial to Tampa Bay. You know why? Because they're Pirates. That's why.
Yeah.
I think it's
before though, Winston. You were always.
Yeah, you know what? I just kind of like some of the things that Tampa's done over the years, and for that they've just been fun for me to watch. So, seeing them take Baker to replace Brady,
yeah,
and I thought that was a great pickup because he's a different type of quarterback than Brady. And like I said, with Baker, he plays with a chip on his shoulder, and I like that. He's got the attitude that you need to win. So. Right. That's what I like about Baker. It's his attitude.
Well, so, all right. Great matchup here. I think it's going to be very exciting.
It's going to be a good game.
Good God, my respect goes out to Dan Quinn, what he's done with that team. I always have a thing, gentlemen, where you get a coach who it's a little bit different with Dan Quinn. He was successful in Atlanta. I mean, he got them to the Super Bowl. I mean, they lost the biggest lead ever in a Super Bowl, and I think that kind of undid him. And I think, in a way, that's why Arthur Blank fired him. But he went to the Cowboys and kind of reinvented himself. And it's just funny. It's something so random. But he started wearing, like, his hat backwards. He's, like, the only coach who does that and having a good time. And he's taken that, like, loose, kind of feeling with him to Washington. And the talent they have on there with, we haven't even mentioned Cliff Kingsbury, his coordinator.
Yeah.
And again, it just boggles my mind how Kingsbury can do it, with Daniels, couldn't do it with Murray.
Well, maybe part of that is because maybe Kingsbury is just a better coordinator.
Yeah.
Or it goes to what I said. I'm not a fan of head coaches making their own play calling.
Yeah.
I'd much rather let your assistant coaches coach.
Yeah. And so, so they've done a great job this season. And, McLaren has had a great year. They've just done really well. With that said.
Would you say McLaren?
Is it McLaren or McLaurin?
McLaurin.
Tampa Bay has a ton of talent. And they win. Even when you think Todd Bowles, we're not sure if he's going to be kept as coach, he just finds a way to win those games. You got Mike Evans, you've got Bucky Irving, you've got Baker Mayfield. What's so funny, Bob?
It's just because you always get people's names wrong. I was half expecting you to say Mike Avons.
Mike Avons. What do you call it? And so yeah, I think Tampa's going to win. I do think it's going to be a shootout as well. God, I think I might go 34-31 Tampa. I think home field is big. I think if this game's in Washington, I'm going to go out and say Washington wins.
And let's point out, Washington actually has the better record.
They
Yeah.
do.
They do.
This is very much like Denver. It's just a year too early right now.
Yeah, I think they have. I mean, they've done really well. Who am I missing in terms of receivers with them, with Washington right now?
Washington?
No, they got McLaurin, but they got Zacchaeus. They've got Zach Ertz at tight end.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
So who's their running back?
Brian Robinson.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And then Eckler is the change of pace back.
That's right. Okay. So they're lined up. All right. So yeah. All right. Final game of the weekend. For those of you who are not sure, it's supposed to be at SoFi here in LA. If it cannot happen, they're going to Glendale, to Phoenix, and playing at the Cardinals Stadium. That was just announced before we got on here. We have the Vikings and the Rams. Derek, who do you like in this and why?
Man, this is even harder than the last one. I'm gonna say Minnesota by a squeak.
Okay.
And I mean like 1 point game. Like if this has that potential for it. LA is going to give the Vikings a very hard time. And I don't think the Vikings are totally prepared for it. Because as good as the Vikings defense has definitely improved, but look, LA's got enough offensive weaponry where they can very easily poke holes in that and find ways around it.
I mean, look at what the Lions did. And the Lions, that's a team that is loaded on offense too.
That's exactly right. And I think that people are counting out LA a little too early. Now, I'm not going to say that look, if LA wins this, I'm not going to be shocked at all.
Okay.
And I don't think that if LA does win and they get into the playoffs, I don't expect it to be a big, long run. But they are a team that could give many a team a lot of trouble and make things real, stressful for other teams. And I think they're going to put a big level of stress on Minnesota. I see this being a real big nail biter, and it could be the game of the weekend. But probably between this one and the last one we just talked about, I think those two have the biggest potential to be the most fun. So this will be interesting. But I'll say Minnesota by a hair.
Okay. What's your score?
21-20.
Oh, wow. That is close. Okay.
Yep.
Mr. Bobo, who do you like and why?
I'm kind of like you, Derek, as far as the way that offense is in LA. This is good enough to really challenge that Minnesota defense because there's so many weapons, or ways that they can beat you. I think that they're going to be able to move the football on Minnesota. That being said, I think Minnesota is going to be able to move the football on the Rams. And I think when it comes down to it, especially if the game ends up not being in LA and it ends up moving, I like Minnesota even more. But if the game's still in LA, I still like Minnesota, and I'm going to go Minnesota 24-21.
Yeah, still close.
Okay. I think Minnesota is pissed from what happened last week. National TV.
That too, yeah.
Now have to go on the road to get to the Super Bowl, pretty much, probably, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if Detroit were to lose, right, Bob? No, and Philly, right?
Okay, look, if assuming Philly and Tampa Bay wins, and Minnesota were to but beat LA, then Minnesota goes to back to Detroit to play Detroit again.
Got it. So they would
If-
get a home game if they made it to the NFC Championship game. No, they wouldn't, because if they play Philly
The
would-
only way that Minnesota would get a home game is Washington or Green Bay would have to upset
right.
the Lions,
Yeah.
and
Right.
Minnesota would have to beat they'd have to beat whoever they play in the second round.
Okay.
That's the only way they would get a home game.
So look, I live in LA, love the Rams, know everything about them. You know, they've got great receivers. You know, Stafford still has, you know, stuff left in the tank. Their defense is good. I
know you love the Rams. Your team's the Dolphins.
Well, no, I'm just saying, being in LA in terms of the NFC.
You know everything about the Rams?
Anyway, you have the Vikings, you have Jefferson, you have Addison, you have Aaron Jones, former UTEP guy. You've got Sam Darnold, who's resurrected his career from SC. I think they're playing mad. I think Minnesota wins 27-20.
I think Aaron Jones could be the difference maker in this game.
That's a very good point.
Could be.
Yep.
Yeah, he could be. And I just think Minnesota is mad. Minnesota is mad, and I don't think they want to lose in the wild card, especially the kind of season they just had.
So we're all taking Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds like it.
So,
all
right,
then,
guys. Very good. Derek?
A couple more points, though. Bob was the one that did call that 3 teams from the NFC North were going to make it.
And he was right.
He was right. They're there.
And Derek, you're the one that called Washington was going to make it.
So we did make some good calls this season.
Wait a minute. There are not 3 teams from the NFC North.
Yes, there are.
Oh, from the NFC North. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was thinking. Didn't Bob?
Hey, Josh,
win it all, right? I mean, to win the North, right?
What'd you say?
Didn't you pick Cincinnati to win the AFC North?
I did. And they got close to making the playoffs, but you know, they had some injuries earlier on in the year that I think affected them. And Joe Burrow, I mean, if that team had made the playoffs, Joe Burrow would probably be in the conversation to win MVP because he put up better numbers than anybody else this year.
That is the one man who has beaten Patrick Mahomes. He's the only one that can claim that right now. He's
Will you tell me something, Bob?
What?
I thought you had something to tell me.
No.
So
other than Ryan Day is a really good coach.
Yeah.
But,
Oh yeah. So if Cincinnati got in your opinion, gentlemen, would they have beaten Buffalo and Baltimore?
Well, if Cincinnati had gone to Buffalo, let's say they got in that as that 7 seed.
Yeah.
I think they're good enough to beat Buffalo.
I would say Buffalo maybe, yes.
I'd still think they're good enough to beat Baltimore because the one thing that Baltimore was really susceptible to this year was the pass. And Joe Burrow put up some freaking great numbers this year.
Right.
And come to think of it, didn't he play at Ohio State? Wasn't he a Ryan Day coach?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
No.
Oh, that's right. Ryan Day wasn't there yet. So.
He was with Urban Meyer.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
He's always been there though, in spirit.
God. Just to let you guys know, tonight's Dad's Turn to Talk was brought to you by Ryan Day.
Right.
There it is.
A generational coach who Josh said should have been fired, but he's in the semifinals.
And
The
let's
playoffs.
make sure they beat Texas on Friday.
So wait, then
all
hold on now.
I'm telling you, as much as I've talked about, they're going to lose.
If our predictions are mapping out here, that would put the Vikings up against the Lions.
Yes, they would go back to Detroit. Now,
That's
I told Josh this the other day that yes, they got whipped, but it is always tough to beat a team twice. And we're talking just a couple weeks later. Minnesota could make a few changes to
Pittsburgh could beat Baltimore.
No,
They just
Minnesota's not going to let that happen again.
That's what I'm saying. They could that the second game would be, or I guess technically their third, but the second in just a couple of weeks would be a lot more interesting, I think, than this last one.
And then you got the Buccaneers at the Eagles. You enjoyed Baker on that then.
Which actually that could be a good game. So So
Yeah,
It could be.
good.
It won't be, but it could be.
Could be interesting. I'm really actually just looking at the games that I'm like, oh, I would like to see Buffalo and Denver, Washington and Tampa Bay. I'm kind of curious about Houston and the Chargers.
That'll be a good way to kick it off.
Yeah,
That'll be a good one.
definitely.
I want to see them all.
You know,
I know. I'm not going to get anything done in the next couple of days. Nothing.
No, I know. One interesting point before we sign off is, and this isn't going to mean a lot, I don't think. Kansas City, we know what they can do. The fact that they got blown out, yes, they didn't have anybody playing, but what does that say about depth of that team?
I get what you're saying, Josh.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
I do too.
But at the end of the day, I don't think Kansas City's going to make it to the Super Bowl. I picked them at the beginning of the year to go, but I don't think they're going to make it. I think they've been teetering on the edge too much this year.
I was about to say, they're Oregon. They're the Oregon of the NFL.
That's right.
They've been sitting vulnerable, and people.
And what's going to happen? Yeah, what's going to happen is you're going to get the Ryan Day of the NFL to get out there and expose them.
It may very well be Josh Allen's turn with them.
It could be.
He's wanted it for a long time, and
I just don't think. I think Kansas City getting blown out by Denver. I mean, at least score something.
Yeah,
it's nothing. Like, where's your depth? You need depth because if someone goes down, God forbid, it's done.
Well, and think about all the other teams that are in this. Like a team like Baltimore is primed right now to go up against a team that vulnerable.
Yeah,
I mean, you could even have something like who else is even in this, but like. If we had a healthy Houston right now, if we had if we had the Houston from last year up against that Kansas City team, I'd give them way more of a shot than I think a lot of people would.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just injuries have decimated Houston.
I think, man, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Chiefs in this. But then again, we were all thinking that the Chiefs were about to lose it last season.
I know.
They came out and won the whole thing. So every time you count them out.
No, real quick, Josh, because you mentioned Houston, how they just haven't quite had it this year. I figured out what the problem is.
Ryan Day's not coaching them?
Exactly. CJ Stroud is not with Ryan Day. That's the problem. See, the year before, it was only 1 year removed from Ryan Day. Now it's 2 years.
Again, Dad's Turn to Talk is brought to you by Ryan Day Promotions.
Yes, Ryan Day Films.
And just so everybody knows, I do not like Ohio State is the thing. I can't even stand them. But
Bob
the truth
hates me enough to.
but no, I'm fair, and I've just been impressed. And I've told you from the get-go this year, Notre Dame was one of the teams I mentioned, and Ohio State was another one of the teams I mentioned.
Yeah. They're both. Man, it's gonna be good.
It is. And see, now I don't know what I was going to tell you guys. There was something we were talking about the Texans. Yeah, I don't know now. I can't think. Anyway, all right. Not important. All right. So, Bob, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me over on my channel on YouTube. Was it good? Best way to find me, Bob Loves Movies. Just all one word, like it's written right there. The description will be, or the channel link will be in the description below. You can also find me on X and Criticless. And just a positive note, my channel on YouTube hit 1,000 subscribers on the 1st of January, and I was able to monetize the channel on the 2nd. So my channel over there is officially monetized, so big milestone. And here on this channel, we hit 110 subscribers. So a lot of fun. So, and you can catch me over on the MSK show on Mondays. That's been kind of interesting over there. So.
And then you're also starting a new YouTube channel, the Ryan Day Fan Club, where you talk about every one of Ryan Day's games, and even if they lose, how much you love him. Correct? When will that be starting?
Dr. Poole!
Dr. Poole?
Hello? Get back in the room!
So funny. All right, Derek, where can we find you?
Well, you can try to find me on social media, but like I said, I'm not going to be on there because I'll be busy watching football. So go ahead and try me on LinkedIn and Facebook, but you're not going to get me.
All right. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, and on TikTok and LinkedIn. I'm the Family Man of the Valley. I'm a realtor here in Southern California. All right, guys. Again, our prayers go out to New Orleans and to Los Angeles. Very tough time. When we were on here, heard another fire broke out in Studio City. However, it is under control from what I have been told by my wife through text as we were on here. I do know some friends who have had to get out. So yeah, hopefully everything is good. Prayers to everyone, and enjoy all the football games and Creature Commandos season finale. And Ryan Day, if you are out there, we would love to have you on our show because Bobo is a huge fan. He's a Buckeye for life. He's willing to give up on Florida State because they only won 2 games last year. So come on in. Next week, we have a very special guest. My friend Ben Rock should be coming back on, who covered Blair Witch Project for us. He is going to discuss his opinion on the prequel trilogy from Star Wars. So should be very, very
prequels and the sequels. So
prequels and sequels. And we are actually going to be reviewing one of my favorite live action awesome adventure movies, RoboCop.
Josh, I will give you credit. That was a good choice. So
almost done with it. It is awesome. Anyone who wants to see it, go check out the director's cut. Good God, it's like the prelude to Creature Commandos.
It's good stuff, man.
So with that said, don't forget to hit that subscribe button again, like our videos, comment, talk to us, tell us what you love, tell us what you don't love, and we'll see you soon. Have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Stay safe, Josh.
Thanks.
You
See you guys soon.
All right.
Right.